Hi guys, in this episode we'll make a screw. Alright, so there's a couple things we need to figure out. First, how to make a spiral, and then how to make the Phillips head. Let's start with the spiral. An easy way to do the spiral is to create under polygon primitives a helix. So I'm just going to create one, and then we can change some options here on the right. First thing we need to do is let's reduce the amount of axis. We're going to set it to 4. That'll give us that screw shape, and then we need to figure out how many coils and what the height will be. So let's see, set the height like this and increase the coils until we have something we like. We can also change the radius. So by the way, when you're selecting, if I select the radius and start dialing it up and down, you see how it happens really fast. I'm skipping a bunch of numbers that I can use, like right here. I'm going from 0.2 to 0.3 and it's happening really fast. And the way I'm doing this is I'm just clicking here first, and then in here middle dragging. But if I want a little more precision, just hold Control while middle dragging, and you'll get to use a second decimal point, and I'll give you a little extra control. So now what we can do is just increase this or decrease it until we have something we like. And I think something like this. Okay, that's good. Let's give it a little bit more height and maybe a little more coils. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look from the top view, and what I need to do now is I need to make this something that I can work with, and an easy thing to work with is a cylinder that has 16 subdivision axis. So if I make a cylinder like this, I'm going to then take the helix here, and I'm going to change the coils number to something even, like 12. You see, it's still going to be pretty much the same, but then the subdivision coil here I'm going to drag until I match that, which is 16. Now the reason so keeping subdivision coils at 16, the reason that they line up is because we have an integer in the coils, because if we start moving this, you can see they start to spread. So make sure you have an integer in there, a solid number, no decimals, and then you'll have nice even subdivision throughout. We can delete this. Okay, now we can also change the width and get it to how we'd like it, like that. Alright, so now I'm going to delete. I'm not going to delete, I'm going to select this face, then shift double click the face next to it. This will select all of the interior faces, and I'm just going to hit delete. Alright, so now what I need to do is I need to fill the space in between. Now I can go through and try and select this, but it's going to be difficult, so instead I'm going to use the PentoPoly Tool, which is this guy. It's also under one of these menus, a pen to polygon, and I'm going to click from here to here, just straight vertical, like that. Then I'm going to go to the top here and do the same here, like that. Now I can double click this edge inside, and this will select all of the edges on the inside. See, we just made like just a stopper basically. Now I'm going to deselect this edge here and then deselect this edge here. This will give us 2 parallel loops. And now we can just use a bridge. So I'm going to go into, by the way, the default settings for bridge might not be the settings you want. So if you want to have the settings a specific way, just go to the bridge tool, click the little box, and in the options we can then set the settings we want. So if I reset this, well, it's pretty good. But if you have more divisions, you can set it to 0, and when you click apply, it will remember those settings. So you can see what we did is we filled the space in between. That looks good. Alright, so now what we need to do is we need to close up the bottom and we need to close up the top. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create a cylinder. subdivision 16. So by the way, see, this cylinder is subdivision axis of 20. I normally use a cylinder subdivision of 16, so I'm going to double click the tool, click in here, type in 16, hit apply. Next time when I make a cylinder, it's going to remember those settings. So now it's a cylinder with subdivision 16. Then I'm going to just scale it until I eyeball it here. You can be precise if you want. I'm just going to eyeball it because nothing is perfect. Just move it up here like this and delete. So we just have that left over. So now I'm going to combine both of these. Hit combine, this button here, and then I'm going to select this loop and then shift select this loop. But I need to deselect this and this because we can't bridge that, and also we can't bridge this edge or this edge. And now I'm going to click bridge. So this will close that off. You can see the edges that we had selected. So for bridge to work, you need to have even edge loops. Then I'm going to select this hole here and just click fill hole. By the way, all of the tools that I'm using, you can also get to by using marking menus, and you can get to them by either holding Shift right click, and you can also hold Control Shift right click, which will give you some more options for the select tool. So Control Shift will give you options for any tool you have active, and then Shift will give you any operation or tool you can use on a specific selection, and Control is for converting selections or changing selections. Alright, so this is good. Now what we need to do is what I want to figure out how to close this off. So we have basically a triangle here. So the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to go from here to somewhere here and here. This will give us a quad, you can see right there. Then I'm going to select this vertex, hold Shift. So because I have a vertex selected, if I hold Shift, this will give me all the available tools that I can use on this vertex. So if I hold Shift right click, I want to pick average vertices. You can see what it does. It'll just average that vertex. I'm going to click G. G will redo that last operation. I'm going to select this vertex. If I press G, it's going to redo that last operation. And if you're not sure, you can also look right here. A lot of tools that you use will show up down here in this section here, and you can usually use either G or Y to enable them. So Y is for tools and G is for operations or something like that. Like that. There. That's a little too much, so this one I'm just going to move by hand like this. There we go. You can see if I smooth, it looks pretty good. So we have a pentagon here, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I don't like triangles, but I'm not too upset about pentagons because pentagons subdivide pretty well. So if I take this and just subdivide to preview, you can see what that looks like. It actually does a pretty good job of subdividing. So I'm gonna keep it for now, and then we'll see what happens later. Okay. So Shift Alt D will clear history. Now next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate, rotate 180 degrees, move it down, and then here I want to line this up. So there's a couple ways to line it up. An easy way is to snap a vertex to a vertex, and you can see that if I start moving this, at some point some of these vertices line up, like right there. So if I just move this down a little bit, I'm going to hold D, and first make sure you're in the move tool, so press W, then hold D and V, and then middle drag the mouse, and you can see it'll start to snap to vertices. I'm going to pick this vertex here. So now my pivot is on that vertex. I can now hold V and select the Y direction and just left click and drag, and it'll start snapping to the closest vertex. And I'm just going to snap to this vertex. So now everything is lined up. Then I'm just going to start selecting faces like this. There. Now if you just right click, you can click invert selection and delete. And then here, I'm going to select the faces that are overlapping, which is this. Now you can see we have this part here, just press 4 just to make sure that there's no overlap, no double faces, and then we can select this. Now we can hit combine and merge. I'm gonna hit 3 for preview just to see, and if something's collapsing or not merging, you can use the threshold here, slide it back and forth. There we go. Alright, so next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close this off, and I'm gonna make a point, but I want to do it the easy way. So for that, I'm just going to fill this like this, and then I'm gonna look from like arrange this so I can see it this way. I'm gonna look where the grid is. I'm gonna just start cutting across like that. So the multi-cut tool likes to jump around. You can also use this tool, which is the split polygon tool. Now if you want to get the split polygon tool, you have to get it from an old shelf, because I don't know how to. Let's see if I can get the code for it. Let's see. Here it is. Yeah, see, I don't know how it actually works because there's no command for it. And the way I took it is I took Maya 2015, took the shelf from Maya 2015 and copied the command for, in the text file. Anyway, you can still use the multi-cut tool. So I'll show you just so you guys can use it as well. And you just go like this. I'm going to cut across, and I'm doing this to make it even in all 4 directions, and I want to leave quads right there. Now I'm going to use the insert edge loop tool and add a loop here. Oops, let's make sure that insert with edge flow is off, and this is set to relative autocomplete like that. Now I can select these vertices here, shift right click average vertices, and then I'm going to click G just to keep smoothing it like this. There. So you can see that's all quadded, nice and neat. Now I'm going to move this down like that. Alright, that's good. And the next thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we can pinch this, and also I want to add a little bit extra detail here. So the way we're going to do this is like this. I'm going to first click insert edge loop tool. I'm going to put a loop all the way around. So like, let's go from this side like that, and then like, let's see, like this and like that. We'll fix this later. And what I want to do is just add a loop to contain this when I'm subdividing so it doesn't collapse. And then one here, like this. So of course we don't need this edge. We also don't need this edge. And then I'm just going to reconnect that and that. Oops. And then I'm gonna make a wide loop this way and then come back around here. And so when you mess up, just hit delete and then redraw. And then I'm gonna select these two and hit Control Delete. So now we have nice clean geo. You can see it looks pretty good. Now we're gonna go up here and do the same. And so the hotkey I'm using now is G. Actually, I can also use Y. So if I press Y, this will enable the tool that's in here. So any tool that I use that shows up in here, you can use Y to enable it again. So when you're done with a tool, like if I'm making a cut, if I use, let's say, this tool, I can make a cut like this. And if I want to finish this cut, but then and then turn the tool on again, I can just press Y. This will finish this cut and let me continue using the tool. And Control Delete. Okay, so here the bevel looks nice and sharp, so we just need to add a similar bevel here. And for this, I'm just going to double click this edge. This will give me a selection all the way around. I'm going to hold Shift right click and I'm going to bevel this like that. And then we don't need a huge bevel, we just need a small little thing like this. And then if I subdivide, you can see it's nice and sharp. Now this does make a pentagon here, right there, but that's okay. I don't mind it. It's gonna give us nice geometry if we subdivide. Alright, also what I like to do is I like to just click this button, which is the soften edge. You can also get to it under mesh display, soften edge, and you should be able to get to it by holding Shift right click and then soften edge, and then clear history. This will just soften all of the normals and make everything nice and clean and smooth. Alright, so now let's pinch the bottom. We're going to use our handy lattice. I use lattices all the time, so this is the lattice tool right here. You can also get to it by holding spacebar, the form, and at the top here there's a lattice, and if I open the options, I'm going to reset them and show you what they look like by default. So I'm going to set this to 2, set this to 30, 30, 30. So 2, 2, 2, 30, 30, 30. That's the default that I use. Click apply, and then you have S, T, and U divisions. So they kind of relate to X, Y, and Z. So if you think about S, T, U, X, Y, Z, T divisions is the vertical. So we can set 2 vertical divisions. Now if you right click on the lattice, if you don't have a space to click on the lattice, like if you're trying to click here and you miss, you'll hit the object and go to vertices. Instead, you can select the lattice, which is right here, and right click outside and click lattice point, like that. Then I'm going to select the points down here and then scale them down, like that. Okay, now as we're scaling, what happens is that the space between the threads doesn't change, so I'm just going to bring this up as well. This will give us a nice clean point. I'm going to clear history. That will get rid of the lattice, but you can see we still have a flat point here, so I'm going to select this vertex here like this, and then I'm going to double click the move tool. This will open up the options for the tool settings for this tool. I'm going to hit B. This will turn on soft select, B, and then I can hold B and middle mouse drag, and this will give me a fall off. You see right there, and as soon as it touches the edge, I'm going to stop, and if I go to the soft selection here, there's a couple of soft selection options here. Now I want to make a nice round tip here, so if I want to make a pointed one, I can just make linear. This will give me that. If I want to make it a little bit more round, I can make my own. So if you just use the linear, I'm going to set this to smooth and this one to, where's it, spline, smooth as well. I think that's gonna be okay. Actually no, let's make it all linear. That'll be good. Whoops. Let's see. Okay, all I want to do is make a linear. There we go. All right. So now I'm going to click here. I'm going to try and make an arc inside here. So I'm going to go like this, like that. Okay, I can then right click on this and click store custom, so I can then recall that one. So now if I pull this up, you can see it'll give me a rounded point here, like this. I'm going to come down from this view. I'm just going to select, press B to turn this off. Create a new lattice. I'm going to select the lattice points here and just pinch them a little bit. And you can see now we have nice, clean, round geo here. If we subdivide, you can see it's nice and clean. There's no pinching. That's okay. That's pushing out a little bit, but I don't really mind that too much. I can bring this in. Yeah, that's fine. Alright, so that's good. And that's good. So now all we need to do is make the cap. Alright, so I'm going to hide this for now. And the way we're going to do the cap is we'll make a cylinder. And because when we made the Helix threading part, we used Subdivision 16. So I'm going to make a cylinder, Subdivision 16, and add a couple caps. Something like this. That should be good. I'm going to delete this much and just look at the sphere, at the cylinder from this view. And now I'm going to make some cuts to make the so that we can make our the plus in here, the Phillips head. All right, so let's start. I want to go from here to there. So first, let's do this. I'm going to go from here to here like this. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do this. All right. Okay, that's good. That should be fine. Now I'm gonna just delete that. And I also don't want to work on the whole thing, so I'm going to work on the section like this. Now I'm going to make a cut from here to here, and then we'll go from here to here like this. You didn't have to select those faces, I just did for some reason. Like that. Okay, that's good. Alright, now I'm going to delete this much as well, because I don't need it. Now we just need to clean this up a little. So I'm going to delete this. I'm going to just move some of these vertices around. And because it's flat, this makes it much easier because we don't have to worry about all that stuff. Get rid of this. Okay, that should be good. I think we need to make actually a cut like this. Yeah, that's good. Right, now I'm gonna clear history. I'm gonna duplicate and do this. Scale -1 in Z, and then rotate -90 in Y. I'm gonna combine both. So combine, merge. Take a look. It's pretty good. We don't need this right here, so that I'll redraw this a little bit. So I'm going to go from here to 70 there, so 70 here as well. I'm holding shift to do that. That means I don't need this, so these two. Control delete, control delete that. Go from here to 40 there, and then 40 here, like that. And then we can get rid of this. Okay, that's fine. And maybe we should just redraw this loop a little bit. So I'm going to use the insert edge loop tool, set it to relative, and put a loop. This time I want to spread this out a little bit, so I'm going to get rid of this. There. Alright, that's good. So that's done. I'm going to go to modify freeze and modify reset, and then clear history. Now I can duplicate, put 90 in here, and then Shift D, select all four, combine, merge. Let's look at that. That looks good. Now I'm going to select this edge loop here. We need to extrude a little more, so I'm going to click extrude, just scale out. Okay, that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to select a vertex in the middle, and there are a couple things we can do. I'm going to show you a couple ways that we can round this out, make this into a nice round shape. We can use soft select, and using the same soft selection we just made, I can just hold B, scale this until I get to the edge, and then move this out, and you can see we get that nice shape. Another way to do it is to use a deformer. So I'm going to select the whole thing, go to Deform, Nonlinear, and select Wave. Now when you first turn the wave on, turn the amplitude on, you get this. But if you increase the wavelength, you can see you get a nicer result. Now once you have a little bit of volume, you can add a lattice to this, and if you subdivide the lattice vertically, we can drag this up. Let's give it actually a couple more. So I can bring this down, then select a little more, bring that down, select that, bring it out, and you can see we can really control that shape. Like that. Clear history, and then we can just scale the whole thing to what we want. Alright, so now that's done. Turn soft select off. I'm going to select the plus here. I'm going to click extrude and just move this down like this. Then I'm going to hit extrude, hit scale, and then invert my scale. Although I don't know why it's not letting me. Usually you can scale right through the whole thing. Let me reset this. It's okay. If that doesn't happen, just put a lattice on it and select lattice points on one side, drag them down. And then if we look from here, what we're going to do is I'm just going to move this up and make this shape down here. Scale this a little bit in. And there. Pretty nice looking shape inside. Alright, so now we can unhide our helix. Select the cap here. I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to scale it. Now I can extrude this edge. So like this. So I'm using F to focus. I'm going to then set this to multiple, set this to 3. I'm going to add 3 loops here like this. I'm going to then scale them out, and I can delete the loop in here. I don't need it. Okay, I'm going to select both, combine, and I can change this afterwards, but in the meantime we're just going to add a bridge. Now if your bridge doesn't line up, you can use bridge offset to cycle until it lines up. Okay, so now we can bring this down. Scale this, and then add a couple loops. Select to relative, add a loop here, maybe one there, one there. And then soften edges, and that's it. Pretty easy. Now it took a little longer because I was explaining, but once you know how to do this, you can do it in a couple minutes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please subscribe and like. And also, if you want me to keep making videos, you can support me on Patreon. Links will be provided in the description. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.